The solution or intervention is always determined by the specific details of that situation. We must avoid a blanket approach. Know the person, the type and the stage of the disease that they have, what abilities they still retain, what functions they can still carry out, their long-standing personality traits, coping mechanisms, experiences, habits, etc. Is the caregiver brand new and inexperienced? Do they have enough knowledge about this person? What's their background? What's their training? Have they had adequate supervision? And rule out the physical causes as we discussed previously. Establish what's going on inside and around the person and what led up to the problem. Are they in a too noisy of an environment? Are they uncomfortable, lonely, bored? What's going on inside and around the caregiver that is influencing the caregiver's reaction to the situation or problem? Using a validated behavioural assessment tool is vital. This can help you in examining the needs behind the behaviours. The tool will talk you through the assessment process. The most commonly used tool in Ireland would be the ABC tool. The A is for antecedent, B for behaviour, C for the consequence. So what led up to it? What was the behaviour like? And what are the consequences? And how can we move forward in preventing this behaviour to happen in the future? Or minimise the damage from the behaviour itself. In the UK, a commonly used tool would be the DISDAT tool, which is a disability distress assessment tool that also takes a similar approach and is detailed in its assessment questions. Interventions that may help in terms of behaviours that challenge and distressed behaviours. A life story book is a book that helps to tell their story. So it's starting at the beginning. Where were they born? Who are they? Where are they from? A little bit about their childhood, their education, their livelihood, their families, their likes, dislikes. Basically, it's an autobiography, a simple, informal autobiography of that person. Music individualised to the person's taste can be a very powerful intervention. Calming music for somebody who's agitated, uplifting music for somebody who's withdrawn. Hand massage, use of therapeutic touch is fundamental to break down that isolation that we often come across with people who are locked in to their bodies through medical illness. Enhanced social interaction, smiling, eye contact, positive reinforcement, use of touch. A videotape or DVD of the person's family may be very helpful, but also may cause distress. Many times we have to approach this in a trial and error scenario. What works is great and what doesn't, we can disregard and try something different. A rummage box with items of interest personalised to that person that can distract them from trying to go out the door to go home, for example. Personal possessions, personalising their room with their rugs, their photographs of their loved ones, their books. Meaningful activities, things they enjoyed doing in the past that they may still have the ability to contribute to or to engage in, even if for shorter periods. A calm social environment is really important. Overstimulation can be quite a negative thing for people with mind-altering conditions and dementia and medical conditions in their brain. Reminiscence therapy, this is speaking to them in a language that they understand, which is a language of the past because of the memory problems that we see so often, particularly with Alzheimer's patients. Validation, telling them when they do something well, praising them, positive reinforcement. Doll therapy is a recognised form of therapy, as is pet therapy, and this allows them to express their emotions, to express love, to feel needed and useful, and to express care and attention. Drugs are a last resort and should only be initiated after symptoms have been found to have no physical cause or be unrelated to the effects of other medication, not respond to appropriate or non-pharmacological interventions. So basically, drugs are a last resort. And they should only be initiated when all else has failed. We should really try to approach with non-pharmacological interventions before resorting to medication. And then it's a medical intervention. Type of drugs we're talking about here would be antipsychotics, antidepressants, benzodiazepines, anticonvulsants, sedatives, hypnotic agents. And the reasons we would use these would be for psychotic patients, delusions, hallucinations, high-risk behaviours, clinically diagnosed conditions like depression, bipolar disorder, also short-term use for anxiety and disturbed sleep, or to stabilise clinically diagnosed mood swings. Also, they can be used short-term to re-establish sleep patterns. All medication carries side effects and risks. We should use the 3T approach. So the first T is for time limited. So we start them on the medication and it's reviewed regularly for a minimum of every 3 months, but also when there's a change in the resident's condition. A target symptom. Always know what you're treating and treat that symptom. Titration. Start low and go slow. When treating elderly people with psychotropic medication, we don't know how they're going to respond or to react. Boredom can be a major issue in care facilities because people are not able to engage in the activities that they previously engaged in to meet their stimulation needs. Knowing the client is key in this particular situation and focusing back in onto their life story, knowing what they like and what they dislike, and trying to redirect them into meaningful activities when they're becoming upset or distressed can be very valuable. Human contact. Human contact is a universal, basic human need. Sometimes clients repeat themselves as a means of holding the presence of another. The question and the dialogue may be unimportant, but the human contact is fundamental. Meeting the person in their space, sitting and making eye contact, gentle physical contact, holding their hand or their hand on their shoulder, that may be so important to overcome the isolation that the disease imposes on this client. Sometimes when our clients try to communicate their needs to us, the emotional need that is the undercurrent of what they're trying to do or say may be something that we receive clues from if we pay attention to the words that they're using, such as, I want to go home. That may be a need to be needed, desperately seeking something familiar. They may be anxious. That may be the underlying need, the anxiety. They may be looking for their parent, their dad. I want my father. They're looking for security. The father is the universal archetype of care and protection. They may just be hungry or thirsty. They're looking for their dinner. They need to go to the toilet. We need to listen to the words, but not just the words, the feelings and the emotions behind the words. Remember, restraint is a last resort. It increases agitation and frustration, and it decreases their physical condition because they're now not able to get up and move around independently. It affects their well-being negatively, and it reduces their autonomy. Some philosophies of care that you may find helpful as you proceed to look after people who have behaviours of distress. Try not to stress somebody further by confronting them. Try to go with the flow. Go at their pace. Go at their pace, not at your pace. If they have Parkinson's or some other condition that affects their ability to move quickly, they'll be anxious and stressed with being rushed. Forget targets. The goals for our clients need to be individualised and person-centred. The one-size-fits-all or blanket approach will not suffice here and will actually serve to create more difficulties and more distress. Emphasise the skills that they still have and maintaining their skills. So, for example, if we're helping somebody to get dressed and they can't figure out what item of clothing to put on first, second, and third, then we hand them the clothes in the correct rotation. Get the physical environment right. Adequate heat, not too noisy, enough stimulation but not too much. It's all about balance. Consistency of caregivers and routine. Routine is important to people as they get older, but particularly to people who have confusion as part of their medical conditions. Keep changes to a minimum. Routine daily sequence of activities to engage and stimulate them, but not to over-challenge them, is quite important. Keep the noise levels down. Maintain their nutrition and hydration is fundamental. Simple communication. Keep it simple. Ask them one question at a time. Keep sentences short and allow them to respond before rushing on to the next question. People with short-term memory issues will forget the first question by the time you get to the third one. Always know how your client expresses pain. And finally, remember people who have distressing behaviour caused by illness that's beyond their control. These people are trying to survive in a world full of uncertainty and insecurity. Their world is different to our world, but it is a world that we can understand a little better if we pay attention to the details of their life and behaviour and take the time to get to know them through talking to them, through listening, through speaking with their loved ones, listening to their loved ones, asking the loved ones to help you to compile the life storybook so that now you have a tool that can be used going forward to engage with your client and to listen to them with empathy. Take a walk in their shoes. Look out the world, through their window. These are the approaches that are very important in caring for those who have behaviours of distress.